Alright, hello everyone and welcome to another video. I, as always, am Grestar, and this is Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2. So this is specifically another run that I did for the new game category on my PlayStation 4, so for the console category, as the board is currently separated between PC and console in general. And this is currently, as of May 22nd, when I'm recording this post-commentary, the world record for the console category for new game. So you can see really quickly, I'm diving back in just to turn off my network because I don't want the voting bot to come in and pull me out of the time nest later on to talk about how I could vote for like the next content release basically. But the previous attempt I made to this, when I got to the point where I needed to change my vehicle to select like the Saiyan pod or the Frieza pod, whatever, instead of the just the default vehicle, because the default vehicle is garbage, I didn't have the DLC that I'd paid for, so I didn't know if having been connected to the internet actually helped up to that point, but that's what I tried. Anyway, for this run, for the new game category in particular, Majin is currently the fastest. I say currently because as far as the proof shows up to this point, Majin's the fastest, just because at one point in the run, near the end, you're required to get your race-specific transformation. There are 5 different races in this game, as you could see from that race selection screen there, and each race has their own specific, unique transformation. And each transformation has their own requirements. And the Majin one just seems to be the fastest. So that's the main reason I play Majin. Another good reason is that Majins, the females in particular, have an infinite combo. And that's basically you just do your heavy attack until you spike them down toward the ground. You launch a single blast of ki. You do like, I think it's called like a step dash or something, but it's like you tap left trigger and forward at the same time. And then you just continue your combo. And there are some variations to it, but that's the basic infinite combo. So with this run, compared to the last run, I did employ some different things, but the biggest thing that I changed between the two runs was I tried to get an early transformation. So typically, I was getting the Majin transformation unlocked right after the Kid Buu saga, or not Kid Buu saga, but with the way that we currently have it split, we have the Kid Buu split, and then the one where you fight Bardock, Mira, and Beerus. So it's after I beat Beerus that I would go and get the transformation. But in this run, I got the Majin transformation unlocked immediately after I finished the Frieza saga. And frankly, I would like to get it earlier, but I can't currently figure out how to do that in a way that wouldn't just waste more time. Because basically, to get the Majin transformation, you have to feed Majin Buu enough food that he spawns 3 children, and then you have to beat him and 3 small Majin Buu in a fight. And so, in order to get food, like the fastest way is to purchase it from the store, and that costs about 102,000 Zenny. And so it's not as easy as you might hope, but yes. So starting off, there is nothing super special about this part. This is just the very beginning of the run. It's teaching you like to see what your objective is. Like go to the little red scroll icons. And so we just have to go around to these 3 NPCs, talk to them, and then head up to the time nest where we can actually have our first mission, which is fighting Raditz. And so that's obviously not a big deal at all. Aside from well, at this point, I think I'm employing everything the same, like strategy-wise, between my PlayStation 4 runs and my PC runs. So the biggest difference between these 2 times is really just the loading differences. Given that the PlayStation 4 is not the newest console by any means, it has quite a big load difference between, itself and PC. As unfortunate as that may be. If this run were done on a PS5, for instance, I would expect it to be much faster, much closer to my PC time. But alas, I don't have a PS5, and even if I wanted to spend the money to purchase one, it's impossible at this point in time, as I'm sure many of you know, to actually be able to get one. But this is the first console run under 2 hours, so I'll gladly take that. just to talk about a few of the other decisions that I made leading up to this point. At the very beginning, for character creation, you might have seen that I went in and I made myself as short as possible and as bulky as possible. Height determines whether you're faster or you have more health. So the shorter you are, the faster you are, I believe specifically in terms of flying, but the lower your maximum health pool. And how bulky you are determines whether you're better at like physical strikes or ki-based strikes. So making myself bulkier meant that I was worse in terms of ki, but better in terms of like physical attacks. I think specifically basic attacks, but it might extend to strike supers as well. I'm honestly not sure. As long as it applies to one of those, I'm satisfied. And then the other thing, you were able to choose between 3 different options that were basically like, I like fighting up close and personal, I like to keep a distance, either way works for me. Depending on which one you pick, you have a different skill set that you start out with. So I picked the hybrid option so that I would have both Meteor Crash and Consecutive Energy Blast as skills. And unfortunately, there are things that I want from the other 2 options as well. From the melee-based option, you start with Super Guard, which is just handy for those times where you're about to be blasted by an ultimate that you can't avoid kind of thing. And then the long-ranged option starts with, I think it's just Energy Charge, but it allows you during moments of quiet to build up your ki, and that would also be nice. But we have to make sacrifices, and so I picked the hybrid option because Meteor Crash and Consecutive Energy Blast, I believe it's more worthwhile to have those 2 than to give either of those up for something else. So if you're familiar with these runs too, you might have noticed that I picked a different hero. I picked the Saiyan female instead of the typical Earthling male. Earthling male, the main reason I was picking him was just because he was the top of the list. And so, you know, picking her instead, I just have to hit down 3 times before hitting, you know, A. So technically waste a little time, and frankly, I don't know if it makes any significant difference, but after I got completely screwed in a hero fight recently, I decided that I would at least try something different. My hope was that, so each race has differences in terms of like inherent stats. And so like Earthlings are really well-rounded. I believe Majins are more defensive, Saiyans are more offensive, Frieza are faster, and Namekians are able to heal when their health gets low. And then there are different things too, where it's like Saiyans at lower health become stronger. And then there are differences between genders too, for the 3 races that have different genders. Namekians and Frieza don't. And so my hope was that in picking the Saiyan, specifically the Saiyan female, that they wouldn't be as defensive, that they would just be, you know, powerful, but that I would be able to blast them more quickly. So I don't know if that actually worked, because one of the things I noticed in previous tests was that the hero seems to always have a set amount of like maximum health, maximum ki, and maximum stamina. So I'm just hoping that those inherent racial abilities also come into play. So right now, we are doing some training with Yamcha, and I just asked him to be my instructor. The reason for that is that when you have someone set as your instructor, they are always going to be located in the Patroller Academy. Typically, each instructor has their own set spot on the map, but when they're the instructor, they're always in the Patroller Academy, regardless of who the character is. And so after I beat this mission, I will spawn with him so he can talk to me a little bit, and I'll be in the Patroller Academy. And the reason that's significant at this point is just because Elder Kai is in the Patroller Academy, and we need to talk to him just so we can make progress. He's one of our objectives at this point. Basically, we need to talk to him, we need to do a parallel quest, and then we need to talk to Supreme Kai of Time. And then we're good to continue on. But another reason, there are 2 other reasons we're doing these Yamcha fights. First, at one point in the run, we're required to have 15 TP medals in order to make progress in the story. Elder Kai just won't let us continue with story missions until we have at least 15 TP medals. Each time you do an instructor fight like that, or a parallel quest, and it depends on the level of the parallel quest, but at this point, in the story. Like, you're only going to be getting 1 per each thing. But yeah, when it's a unique thing, you're beating it for the first time, you get 1 TP medal. And so I beat Yamcha twice there, so I have 2 TP medals total right now. Another thing, though, that's significant is once you train with Yamcha for the first time, it actually unlocks the possibility for Yamcha to host a special class where he throws the turtle stone, you have to quickly find it, and depending on how quickly you bring that turtle stone back to Yamcha, you'll get a certain number of TP medals. The fastest that you can do, like the most TP medals you can get, is 10, and that's what you're hoping for. Basically, you want to do the 2 Yamcha instructor missions, the required tutorial parallel quest, which also gives you a TP medal, 2 other instructor missions, whichever instructor you choose, you know, it just depends on what your route looks like and what you think would be the fastest, and then the turtle stone hunt, and all those together will give you a total of 15, and that's just the fastest way that we currently have to get 15 TP medals. Something different you might have seen there too compared to previous runs of mine is right before
that sounds like fun.
Right before selling the Senzu Essence capsule that I got from the NPC by Piccolo near the Time Nest, I actually unequipped the Scouter that I started with and sold that for 500. At this point in the game, with how low level we are, specifically below level 10, each level can be purchased from Tosok for 500 Zeni. And so unequipping and selling my Scouter allowed me to purchase 1 extra level, so I'm going into this parallel quest at level 9, with the money that I had from the fights, from selling the Scouter, and from selling the Senzu Essence capsule. Why going in at level 9 is somewhat significant. It's not as significant a leap as, like, from level 3 to level 8, you know, level 8 to level 9. But, not only am I level 9 for this parallel quest, but both of the allies that I picked are also level 9. They're whatever level you are. And so, that's very convenient. Because, like, the levels of the enemies that you fight in here, like, the Cybermen and the NPC time patrollers and everything, they are a set level, they're a set difficulty. And so, if you can buff yourself and your teammates, then you can reasonably go through this more quickly.
In tarnation! He's out for the count and do something that's okay.
So I know for sure, like I know that you know, getting the Senzu Essence capsule, or yeah, getting it, selling it, and then purchasing levels with that money. You can see there they're level 9. I'm hovering over them. I know that it's worth purchasing levels to get to level 8. And now that I think that it is worth unequipping and selling the Scouter to get 1 extra level. I cannot say for certain, but it seems to be beneficial, so for now at least, that's what I'm going to be doing in new runs. But at the level I am, I know that I can beat these Cybermen in 2 full combos, so I try to get that off as quickly as possible. I'm just hitting right bumper trying to find where the other Cyberman is, and it unfortunately took a bit, and then even once I found him, things happen. And so frankly, beating these 2 Cybermen, it took way longer than I would have liked. But oh well, you do what you can, you start flying toward the little nook where the Kaiwari man will appear. I fully expect and want my stamina to break on my way over, because with Majin Female in particular, your stamina refills really quickly when it's broken. And so like it's a lot faster to have it break and let your stamina refill that way, than to be at like a sliver of stamina remaining and let it refill naturally just by you not flying or fighting. So yeah, now we're on the NPC time patrollers. I try to line the 2 up so that when I hit the first, like the one in front, then my attacks also extend and hit the one in back. It's a very minor thing, but I figure any damage I can do is probably beneficial. But at this point, we're just trying to kill these 2 as quickly as possible. From what I've been able to tell, and from what I've heard from other people, it seems that when you have allies like I have, you know, the Vados or whatever, if I use a super attack, my allies are more likely to use the super attack themselves. And so sometimes I specifically try not to use one until they're at a certain like point of health, because I know that if an ally uses a super, they're likely to be knocked away from me, the enemy. Or I'll try to time it where it's like, I want them to use a super because the enemy is weak, and while I'm finishing off this person, I want them to try to finish off that person, that kind of thing. But right now, like, I was spinning around in circles again, trying to get my stamina to break, because I figured it would be faster to refill it when it was broken than to just stand still and let it refill that way. And now we get to have Tien and Yamcha come in. And you can already see from the split at the top that we're not going to save time on this fight, this particular split. And, you know, that would be a totally valid reason to reset if you wanted to really grind out the best possible time. But I figured there were still new things that I wanted to try in this run compared to my last, so I was willing to lose some time on this to see what the next one looked like. And unfortunately, Yamcha says I was so close, Tien says that. Neither of those lines had to happen. I don't know of a way to stop it. At first I thought it was you have to beat both Yamcha and Tien before Elder Kai even starts saying, like, you know, what timing, why don't you jump in there and join them kind of thing. But I've done that and they still get, NPCs can still trigger extra dialogue, so it can be really unfortunate, but yeah. I don't know if there's a way to actually skip it or if it's just a random chance every time. Just unfortunate when it does happen because it adds seconds on. So here we got, now we got Hercule badges from the Parallel Quest as a reward, and so we're going to go over to the shop here, sell those, and then we're just going to purchase some levels. I think it's important to be leveled up for the upcoming split, the Saiyan History split, because they're all either just dependent on how fast you can beat the enemies, or you can, in the first two fights, actually skip a good chunk of dialogue in each of them, just by getting the enemy down to about half health by a certain point of dialogue. And so, obviously, the higher level you are, the stronger you are, and the more likely you are to, you know, beat those first two fights in time. So you can skip. Together, they're about 50 seconds, so it's pretty significant. And then the other fights, again, it's just kill them as quickly as you can, so obviously you want to be more powerful. So talk to Spring Kai of Time there, then I go over here, talk to the Stylist, because if I don't talk to him now, he'll pull me out of the Time Nest to tell me about his services later. Then I talk to the TP Metal Clerk here, back out, talk to him again, and I start the Bulma scene. I don't know why exactly this happens, but I was really glad when I found it, because before that, I was using the Parallel Quest lobby to trigger Bulma. Like, I'd drive all the way, you know, get in my vehicle, all the way back over to the Parallel Quest lobby, load into one, press B, and then it would start that cutscene. But instead, we get to trigger it right there through the TP Metal Shop. So yeah, interesting. Same thing with multiplayer modes, man. We talk to him just so he doesn't talk to us later in the run. Basically, I try to get as many of those out of the way as I can, as early as possible. But at this point, we've done all that we can do. It's just time to head in and do what I consider like the first real mission of the run. Right, so here we go, fighting Nappa, and this is where we have to get him down to about half health before Yamcha finishes his bit of dialogue. Right here, who cares who it is. So we easily did that this time around. The issue with this fight is that, you know, you have so many allies, and sometimes Nappa focuses exclusively on them, or the NPCs will just like bash him away, send him flying, and it can be really hard to just connect. As long as you can continue your combos with Nappa, like, it really isn't hard to get him down to that point of health. But you can get unlucky. Yeah, and then you'll see this throughout other parts of the run, so I'll try not to bring it up there again just to, you know, avoid repeating myself. But you'll see when I'm not rushing to just kill them as quickly as possible, like when I'm waiting for dialogue to finish up, you might see that I'm specifically blasting them with just the little key blasts, or I'm going in for grabs. And that's to get extra points at the end of the fight. Because your score in this game is equivalent to your experience. So the higher score I get, the more experience I earn. And especially early on, levels are just really beneficial because, you know, the more over-leveled you are, you know, the more quickly you can get through a lot of these early fights. I mean, same goes obviously for later in the run, but because it's a speed run and we're not going out of our way to grind, you end up leveling out fairly, okay, not fairly quickly, but you do level out by the end of the run. I say level out because after this split, the Saiyan History split, we do a thing where you go visit all the time rifts like you have to do, then you talk to an NPC to get clothing from him. He just gives you clothing. It's awesome. It's 4 pieces for 20,000 zenny each, so a total of 80,000 zenny, and then we use all of that money to purchase levels from Tosak. That was probably the biggest contribution I made to this run, was using Tosak for new game categories. And you get up to like level 38, 39, maybe even 40, depending on how lucky you were and how much experience you got from the fights leading up to it. How lucky you were in part depending on like the Hercule badge rewards that you get at the end of the parallel quest. It's not a set amount. There are different rarities of Hercule badges that sell for different, you know, prices in the store, and then you can get different numbers of those too. So you really can get lucky in that part. With this fight, it's just kill Nap as quickly as possible, then kill Vegeta as quickly as possible. So a lot of it is just trying to connect. And one of the things that was big for me in this run was learning how far I needed to get an enemy down with my combos before I can just finish them off with Meteor Crash. And that's more applicable early on in the run because the earlier enemies, the AI, like, they're not as primed to vanish a lot or to use evasives. And so, and evasives really are evasives and vanishes are the big bane of the infinite combo. Because aside from that, as long as you're executing it correctly, the combo is, as the name states, infinite. But you can vanish or evasive out of it, and enemies later in the game do that a lot more often. Here, the fastest way that we found to take care of the Great Apes is to use the bomb ki blasts. Different races start with different kinds of charged ki blasts. Majin's default is the bomb ki, which you can see there. I just throw like this huge ball of ki. And then Super Souls 2 can affect your kind of charged ki blast. But it's the fastest way to get down that purple energy bar, which makes them, it keeps them invulnerable until it's depleted. And so we just throw bomb ki blasts at them again and again until the energy bar is depleted, and then until their health is gone. So there we go, and then we can mark our split on clear.
All right.
And there we go. We went from plus 17 to minus 20. So that was good. So as you've probably noticed too, a lot of this game is just skipping the cutscenes between each mission. Unfortunately, there's not just a way to turn them off or to skip them like preemptively, you know? You just have to wait for them to start popping up and then you mash start. Some of them have like, they only fade out at certain points. Like you hear the music cut off here consistently. Yeah, I don't know why, but that's just how it works. And another thing too that you'll see throughout this run, just as a recurring thing, is a lot of the fights will not let you continue, like move forward to the next story mission or the next phase of the fight or whatnot, until you let a certain amount of dialogue pass. It's annoying because, you know, while you're waiting for the dialogue to pass, the enemy is invincible, but you are not. So you either have to like run away and dodge or just keep fighting to keep them off you. And the only exception to that is like the final that was a mix of fight and battle. The final battle, where once you get Mira down to almost dead in his first phase, he's invincible. Well, you end up being invincible. You can hit him down to like a sliver, and then he's invincible. But one of those things. So here's the difference. Since I'm trying to do an early Majin transformation, when I'm here in the Majin Rift, I actually need to go inside and talk to Majin Buu really quickly.
Yahoo!
So talking to him actually triggers NPCs around the map to appear that if you talk to them, they'll give you food. So technically, I don't think it's necessarily the fastest. I think technically it would be faster if you like would use just a teleportation bot to go up to like the transfer shop clerk to go up to the resort district and find like 2 giant crabs in the water. The issue is that that's not consistent. I went up like 4 times in a row, with missions between them, and there was just nothing there. And obviously, if you have to go up like 5 times to look for food, that's not going to be faster. But being able to find food on the ground rather than go in and talk to Boo to trigger the NPCs to appear to talk to them to get food, yeah. So talking to Majin Buu is just a way to make it consistent. But technically, I think if you were to get lucky with food spawns on the map, that would be faster. But aside from that switch in the Majin Buu house, all this other Rift stuff is the same. So we've just visited all of them. Now we're leaving Hercules. We're going to immediately jump in our vehicle and then fly off the front right side. And down there, you can see Jija, right by that corner by the sign. And we need to talk to him. He says that he hates bitter people. So for him, we're going to do the Anguish emote. He freaks out. We talk to him. He gives us clothes. And yeah, this is where the big part of the run comes in, where we just sell the clothes for a total of 80,000 Zenny, and then we go to Tosak and use all that money to level up.
Welcome, friend.
And again, that just really makes us over-leveled for, a good while. Like, I don't know what the requirements are for the later splits, but like the Frieza Saga, it warns you if you go in under level 20. Like, level 20 is the level Frieza's in the first fight with Nail. So... and then we're entering that one at like level 40. So being over leveled obviously makes us more powerful, better equipped to handle those fights, and as long as they're not entirely dialogue dependent, then we get to finish the fights more quickly. Unfortunately, no one has currently found a way to make this part faster. You can only purchase 1 level at a time, and so you just have to keep talking to him. You just spam the buttons back and forth, basically. So yeah. So now that we've done that, we have to go up and talk to Supreme Kai of Time, basically just to check off that we visited all 5 time rifts and talked to the quintuplets there. And now I'm trying something different too. I'm going to go to this photo mode robot, spam through his dialogue, say yes, I want to take a picture. It'll load me into a lobby where I would get to pick, who I'm playing as, who my opponent is, and then what, like, arena we're in, just so I can stage, like, combat pictures, But we immediately back out of that lobby, and it triggers the next cutscene. As far as, like, this one will be the Hero Coliseum. Yeah, so... this is, I believe, faster than the way that I was doing it before. But I'm not sure. And then I do it again, and I'm even less sure whether it's helpful in this case. Like, once again, go to photo mode guy, talk to him, trigger it, but I don't know if it's actually really worthwhile. It's hard to say, because the thing is, what I was doing before is, so this will trigger the cutscene where Supreme Kai of Time gives us the glasses because Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 sold over 10 million copies. So she pulls us out of the time nest to just tell us that, and then as, you know, like, celebration, like, we get glasses. From here, what I would usually do is I would get in my vehicle, drive over the stairs, fight Raditz for the last 2 TP medals I need, aside from the Turtlestone Hunt from Yamcha Special Class. And then as soon as I was done with both of those Raditz fights, I would go to the online, like, battle lobby thing. You know, go into a lobby, immediately back out, and it would load the Hero Coliseum cutscene. So, just being completely honest, like, I don't know if these 2 little, you know, early cutscene triggers that I did are faster or are worthwhile. It kind of eases my mind because it gets them out of the way earlier on, but it's really difficult to kind of conceptualize the time that each of the 2 strategies would take, because there are all these different fights in between them and everything, and so it can be really difficult to get down a consistent, like, okay, this would take this much time compared to this taking this much time. So it's one of those things that I'm currently wrestling with. Like, it's a newer discovery I made that you can trigger those early by talking to the photo mode dude. But is it worth it? That's what I'm still wondering. But yes, we're jumping right back into Namek history now. We just knocked Dodoria away because we start targeting him, but he does not matter for this fight. Like, you can weaken him to a point, but then he'll be forever invincible. So we just need to wait for a little bit of dialogue here. Basically, once Dodoria finishes speaking. And now Zarbon is vulnerable again, so we finish him off to the O, and there he is. He's dead. We move on to the next bit. And this next fight is against Lord Slug, and you do have to get him down to where he's invincible, so basically dead, but you have a long time to do so. There's just so much dialogue that you have to pass, or you have to let pass, and yeah, so it's really obnoxious because you kill him much faster, but then you just have to wait it out.
You may be a time controller, but you'll never survive my boundless fury. Avoid the universe.
So see, look, he would be dead now, you know? This is where he would already be dead. And we just gotta keep waiting.
That's just a small taste of my power. I'm on my way to your location. Hang in there just a little longer.
Yeah, see, if we could find a way to skip all of that dialogue, like just throughout the run, it would save so much time. Unfortunately, we have not found such a way yet. You know, we found times where as long as you beat, like, this person down to half, or, you know, this many Cell Juniors, it seems, or something by a certain point of dialogue, you get to skip other dialogue. But then there's still required dialogue. So, this one, though, you just kill Dodoria as quickly as you can. So we'll mark it on the clear, and there we go. So we do have plus 55 seconds right now on the split. But we did do the Hero Coliseum and the Glasses cutscene. So it's not actually, like, we didn't actually lose 75 seconds on that split. I mean, on that particular split, yes. But we're not moving, like, 75 seconds more slowly than our previous run, I should say. Essentially, we'll make that time up later, where we normally would have seen those cutscenes, and instead did not. Again, I don't know if triggering those 2 that early is actually worthwhile. And I may certainly rethink that, but this was the first time that I, you know, used it in a run, so I thought I would at least try it out.
Over here! What gives, Kale?
So at least it'll be memorialized as a thing that someone did at one point in this run. So there isn't much to say about these upcoming fights. With Raykum and Birder, you just have to beat both of them as quickly as you can. So again, I try to connect with Raykum as quickly as possible, beat him down to a certain point of health with my infinite combo, and then finish him off with a Meteor Crash. Connect with Guldo, do the same thing. Thankfully, Guldo's a little weaker, but he also tends to run away more, and he's smaller, so he can just be harder to hit. But if you can connect and you can keep a combo going, he tends to be easier. In the next fights, we'll see that... Oh, sorry, I think I said Birder, I meant Guldo. In the next fights, you'll see Jason Birder, and they'll be invulnerable really early on, and then you have to wait for Elder Kai to finish saying, like, that Goku, always swooping in, you know. And then you can fight them again. I mean, you can always fight them, but then you can hurt them again. And at that point, you just need to finish one of them off to trigger Supreme Kai of time to say, you know, wait a minute. And then in the next one, you just kill one of them as quickly as you can, so Goku starts talking about the approach of Turles. But basically, I'm getting all that out of the way, because I'm really thirsty, and so I'm going to go fill up my water. And I know this is post-commentary, and I didn't have to tell you any of this, but now you're on the inside. You're complicit. I'll be back.
Guys, how about giving up and going home? Or would you rather end up like that one? What? Who the hell are you? I'm Goku, a Saiyan from Earth, or so they tell me. Darn it! The Ginyu Force will not be insulted by an ape like you! I have no idea who or what you are, but how could I be beaten by a blob?
Look at them! They're panicking!
Well, with Goku, everything should be fine.
Always swooping in right at the end, and all the guns to himself.
I'm not sure who you are, but thanks for singing Krillin and Gohan. Seriously.
Wait a minute! Someone is approaching you.
What's happening? Their energy level suddenly shot way up.
So see, I made it back in time for the part. Like I said, you just need to finish one of them off. I was trying for Jace at first, but Birder was really bullying me hard. He just would not let me go. So I switched targets. Unfortunately, you know, we had to waste time by weakening Jace first and then fighting Birder. But sometimes you just have to adapt, you know.
Fantastic.
Oh, sorry, I said Turles too. I was talking about the approach of Turles. It's more Ginyu. Turles does show up in this split, but he shows up later. I was thinking ahead. So with this particular fight, you can get both Captain Ginyu and Jace down to the health you see Ginyu at right now. And then they're going to be invincible. You just need to wait for dialogue to pass until the scene transitions. And then, once it does, Ginyu will still be invincible, but Jace will not be. So you need to switch your targeting to Jace, finish him off, and then you just have to wait for a certain line of dialogue before Ginyu will be vulnerable again. Then you finish him off.
I didn't think you'd come back in a different body. No excuses. You have to be ready at all times. You were lazy. Sorry, I'm slow getting back. Give me back my body.
So with that, Jace is dead. Now we just have to wait So I'm mostly fighting him just to get some ki back up because I used Meteor Crash in order to finish off Jace.
You don't look very nice.
And then, you know, this is where I could do like Ki Blast to get Ki Blaster for more score, or, you know, I could try to throw him to get the Grappler for more score. I could just run around.
Could we, maybe...
There's just nothing that I need to do until the dialogue passes where Trunks says, well, this is awkward. Then once that happens, I can fight him. So yeah, I got him into a combo a little early just to make sure that he wouldn't get away from me like right when he became vulnerable. But I could have waited a little bit longer. So now this is the last fight of this split. We need to fight Captain Ginyu in Goku's body. I did Meteor Crash just too early, like he had just a little bit of health left, but Consecutive Energy Blast finishes that off. So now we just need to finish off Turles, and then we'll be good. So this is where I would have liked to be able to go out and get the Majin transformation. But again, the issue at this point is that because you need to feed him so much, like you need to feed him the equivalent of 102 water. And so like if we're just calculating water, you know, that's 102,000 Zeni, because each water is worth 1,000. And part of the issue with this, too, is that in this game, you can only have 99 in a stack for each item, and you can only have one stack. So, like, I can't have a stack of 99 water and then a stack of, you know, 3 water. You need to have a different kind of food unless you want to take more than one trip. Which is ultimately why, when I was visiting the Rifts, I actually went into Majin Buu's house and talked to him, so I could spawn those NPCs that give you food. So that I could, you know, purchase 99 water from the store and then get food from someone else. So yes, with this first fight with Frieza and Nail, we just have to get Frieza's health down to about that first parenthesis, and then he says this will be your final warning, and that begins the necessary portion of dialogue. So there's much more that could be said throughout this fight, but as soon as you get him down to that point of health, this bit of dialogue will begin, and you just have to wait it out. But I really would like to have Purification, the Majin transformation, for the Frieza Cooler fight at the end of the split. And like other fights in this split would be nice as well, but that's the biggest one for me. But yeah, just another case where he's fighting Nail, and there's nothing more that I need to do. Like I have my Grappler, I have my Ki Blaster, so I'm exploring. Because I can.
We can't do anything. Just come back for now.
There's no time to be thoughtless. It's an emergency.
Exactly. Just keep quiet and let me think.
Because yeah, in the run, you never really see those areas unless, like me, you just went off on your own. You know, parallel quest, sure, but in the run, there's no reason to go back there. I guess you kind of see it in the Lord Slug fight, actually. That's fair. But anyway, unfortunately, that's the last that we see of Frieza for quite a bit. This, honestly, it's probably one of my least favorite splits in the run, because first, the Frieza Cooler fight at the end scares me. It can be really hard. You could just get really unlucky, and it can punish you. And this is me being at, like, you know, level 40, like 15 levels higher, I think, than the recommendation or whatever. It's frightening. But the Turles and Slug portion is not my favorite. I find them as characters to be annoying to fight, and I don't like just how long the fights last. where it's just, there is so much bloody dialogue. There's so much talking between those two characters. And you just have to wait. You just have to wait. It's so long, and they're invincible, and you are not. And once the dialogue finally ends and you can move on to the next phase, they become full health, and you're still just as weak as you were. And so, like, in the speedrun, once you get familiar with it, it's not that bad. Like, usually you're not at risk of dying or anything. But in a casual playthrough, this portion to me is ridiculous. Like, it's... Basically, I just think that them being invincible while you're still vulnerable is not fair, especially when the dialogue is so long. Because you could argue at some points like, well, yeah, you know, you would still be fighting them and like their health would still be depleting if you weren't over-leveled. And that's true, and that's, you know, fair enough. But there are other fights too where it's just like, the dialogue is so long that, you know, you can be struggling for your life at the, you know, by the end of it. But at this point, they're fighting Gohan, and I'm sure the kid's got it, so I'm not going to interfere. I'll just see how he does, you know.
Never get along anyway.
Gohan.
Mr. Krillin, are you okay?
This is actually another case where, since this is on the PS4, typically when I play on console, I play without audio because with the capture card that I have, the only way to get the game audio is by plugging headphones directly into the capture card, and there's no like volume adjustment, and it's blaring in my ears, so it's uncomfortable. So I just go without like any of the audio cues in the run. Like when I see the dialogue box pop up for like, you know, I feel a surge of pure dark energy, I just have to picture him saying it in my head, you know? I just have to hear it in my mind. So you can see I did it early there, but that's why, because I was trying to hear it in my head and judge Wendy's consecutive energy blast based on that. But yes, I was just in a Discord call with my brother, and I remember remarking about poor Gohan just being wailed on there. Okay, so here we want to get one of them down low enough that Trunks says, "I'm here to help." And then it's only a matter of time before the scene transitions. So, like, I try to weaken them both as much as I can. So with Turles, you know, using an ultimate, I was just like, whatever, I'll focus on Slug. Like, I think Turles could have gotten a little bit weaker. Maybe not. Because it's not as weak as they were able to get, like, in the previous one. But just as much damage as you can makes it a little bit easier in this next bit, because at least they don't heal this transition. So Turles is dead. Now as soon as we finish off Slug, this will be the last that we see of either of them in this run, which in my opinion, thank goodness. Of course he uses an evasive because he's like that. But there he goes. So yes, they're gone in the run, and now in the Frieza saga, we're actually on to more Frieza stuff. And this leads us to the most interesting fight in the run, in my opinion, like in the entire story mode. Because in this fight, it says that like the objective is to reduce Frieza to a certain amount of health. And that's technically true, but you can only do like, it's a tiny amount of damage. Like it's not a sliver, but it's so little. Like I could punch him once, maybe twice, and that would be it. And then he'd be invincible. The real way to finish this fight as quickly as you can is to let Frieza kill Vegeta, which can be easier said than done. You just have to hope that he targets Vegeta, that he uses his ultimate and hits him with it, that Vegeta doesn't fight back too hard kind of thing. Like you want Vegeta to be, you know, like feisty enough that he gets right in Frieza's face, but you don't want Vegeta to be like trapping Frieza in a combo or anything like that. But you can see, like, as soon as Vegeta dies, I mean, there might, like, a bit of dialogue might finish, but then it will move on. Otherwise, if you get Frieza down to a certain amount of health, which basically you can see if you look at his bar in the top right, he has that little bit of yellow. I think you can get that to almost deplete, or maybe, like, just after it depletes. But you see, Vegeta died, so we get to move on. Yeah, otherwise you just have to wait for so much more dialogue. It's a very cutscene-y fight, basically. So these Frieza fights are really, it's just a whole chunk of get them down to a certain point of health, and then either dialogue will trigger, like Goku asking Frieza to do something, and then he's invincible, or it just moves straight on to the next phase. So here, I'm still fighting him, not because I can do damage, but because I want to fill up my ki bar. Because now with this next fight, I'm going to try to catch him in Meteor Crash. And now we get him here, and we move immediately on to the next phase. So because there's this screen where, you know, it calculates your score, and you get to either hit next or return to the time nest, this next fight, I will be a blank slate, basically, so I'll be full health, full stamina, with 0 bars of ki filled up. And so I can't immediately start with a Meteor Crash or anything like that. But we need to get Frieza down to basically dead. Not quite. Like, it's not a sliver. And then the scene will end. Like, it won't trigger dialogue, it'll just be over. And so it's another instance where beat him as quickly as you can and then you're good. So right there. And now all that's left in this split is the Frieza Cooler fight, which to me is the first scary fight in the run. If you're playing this casually, or if you're new to the run in general, I think the Turles Slug bit is really scary too. But for more experienced runners, I think that the Frieza Cooler fight can still be really scary. At least it is for me. I won't speak for other runners, but at least for me, this fight is still frightening. So we get Cooler down to that health. We can get either of them, but I was just targeting Cooler. It'll transition, and so then they'll be in their stronger forms. You get like Frieza Final Form, and or Full Power, excuse me, and Metal Cooler. Oh no, just Cooler Final Form, excuse me. I am thinking way too far ahead.
Let's hurry up and finish this.
And mixing Frieza with Cell a little bit. But when I'm fighting these guys, I want to keep them down near the bottom, because a big part of the Majin Infinite combo, Majin Female Infinite combo, is, you know, you slam them down with that kick, and then they kind of bounce off the ground, and you just reconnect with them. And so, if I'm really high up in the air, there's a much higher chance that I'll lose the combo. So if I'm this high up, I usually vanish down to immediately meet them. Because otherwise what you want to do is you send a blast of ki, like you tap B to send a blast of ki, but then you actually fly down to them, connect with X, and then start the infinite combo again. And that can work, but it's harder to pull off. It's less consistent. But there, we beat them both, so on the clear we get to mark the split. And we saved some more time. So that fight, I felt that it went pretty well. But yes, this, now that we're at the end of the Frieza saga, is where this fight, or this run rather, really takes a departure from the last. I mean, the biggest difference between the last run and this one is that this one, yes, we're getting the transformation basically now. So Supreme Drive Time is like, you can fly now, you have your license, yay! So we're gonna go straight down here, and we're gonna fight Raditz, because we still need to fight him, you know, 2 times to get the last 2 TP medals we need, aside from the 10 that we're anticipating getting from Yamcha's Turtle Stone class. So we'll go in here, we'll do his 2 fights really quickly. Nothing much to say about that.
You're serious about this? Fine then. I guess I'll help you train. Jeez!
With this next one, because it's his lesson 1 as opposed to his, you know, initiation, 2 things. First, because it's lesson 1, we actually have to finish him off with the skill that he's trying to teach us. So you'll see that I go in and I do 2 full combos, and then I finish him off immediately with the skill. That's the fastest way that I've found to do the fight so far, and it's pretty consistent. Another thing, though, too, is that you'll see there are 2 enemies here. There's Raditz and Nappa. Just ignore Nappa if you're ever to do this Raditz fight as well. I mean, if you're going for like a Z rank, I think you have to beat them both. But if you're not, if you're just going for speed, just focus immediately on Raditz and you'll be good.
All right. That's enough for today.
Basically just saying you don't have to beat them both. And obviously, it's faster to beat just the one that you have to beat. So at this point, what I was supposed to do is I was supposed to get in my vehicle and go to the left and talk to the guy who gives you a clothing because you both like vehicles. Vehicles are cool. But I was so much in my head of like, all right, don't go to the right and do like the online battle thing because that's what I'm so used to doing after Raditz fights that I went straight here. And you could see the moment I realized it, so just make a quick U-turn, go back, talk to him, get the clothes, and then go to the shop. I was like, you know, narrating in my head what I was supposed to do so I didn't forget. And it was like, go to the shop so you can sell the clothes so you can buy the... Oh, sell the clothes! And so then I went back, you know? But yes, here we buy our 99 water. If it didn't have the 99 cap, or if you could hold more, it would be easier, but whatever. We go back here, we talk to him, he gives us food. We see we get 2 pudding, that's enough. We just need 2 of something that's at least 2 stars. So here I buy Super Key Explosion and Giant Storm. And then I go to the transfer shop quick. And we're heading straight to Majin Buu's house to get our transformation. So if those people who gave you food spawned without talking to Majin Buu, that would save a good bit of time. Not like minutes or anything, but you know, just because when we're first visiting these rifts, it does take time to go out of my way to like walk to the entrance of his house, load in, talk to him, load back out. Like we'd obviously have to talk to him the first time we visited anyway, but having to just load back in and out, it does take time. Alas, though, it was a big epiphany when I realized, like, that's how you trigger the food NPCs to spawn. I was on a call with my older brother when I figured it out, and he could tell you that I had this, like, little outburst. It was very surprising. But there we go, 34 water, and then 31 water and 2 pudding was enough to spawn all 3 of them. So now we can talk to him and actually start our transformation fight. So the worst part about this fight is that you're on a team with Goten and Trunks, and I hate them, and they should be grounded. But for the first bit, we're going to just be fighting Majin Buu. We need to get him down to about half health on his lowest bar. I think a little over half health. But so we're just going to be doing as much damage to him as quickly as we can to reach that point. I mean, in general, you're doing as much damage as quickly as you can because it's a speed run. But you see, he says you're going to die, you know, and that's when you know you've done it. So now we're just waiting for it to pop up and say, you know, how to do your transformation. You do that. Finish him off. And then once he's dead, he'll come back alive. Because, you know, he does that. Along with 3 small Majin Buu. And now we just need to beat the 4 of them. And, you know, obviously easier said than done. But that'll be the end of the split afterward. Or not the split, but the transformation requirement. So the way to beat the small ones is you need 2 full combos, and then you can use a Pearl Flash. Sometimes I get paranoid that they're going to vanish away or I'm going to be knocked away, and so I'll just use Pearl Flash early. But ideally, you want to do 2 full combos. So you can see here I connect, I start the combo again. Like that. See, he broke away. And he just needs a Pearl Flash. But alas, we'll just finish him off real quick like that. His stamina was broken, so he probably wouldn't have dodged if I had tried to Pearl Flash again, but whatever. Yeah, Majin Buu has a little bit more health, so we have to do like 3 combos and then the Pearl Flash, but that's okay. So 1 more small Majin Buu to go, and of course they have him clear out here because they're terrible little children.
Take this seriously.
See, if they hadn't knocked him away, he would have already been dead. But when they have so little health, I'll typically try to use my Ki Blast, which is where you might see me like I stuff my leg through a portal and I'm kicking upward at them. But yes, that was the early transformation. I say early because originally we were getting the transformation at the transformation split, which is near the end of the run, and then I started getting it after the Bardock and Beerus split, and now I'm starting to get it after the Frieza Saga split. So it was transformation, then it was early transformation, and now this is early transformation. But I equip them all here just so I don't forget, you know, my Giant Storm, my Super Ki Explosion, and my Purification. And then I'm just heading back into the Time Nest to, you know, continue the run. Now, what I forgot to do was from this rift, what I did before at least was I got in my vehicle, I rode down to the, Tefu. I rode down Tefu for the Crystal Raid battles to talk to him to get his cutscene out of the way, just so we don't get pulled out, you know, like right at the beginning of the Cell Saga. But I forgot to do that, and it's one of those things too that I'm not sure is super beneficial, because I do kind of have to go out of my way just to talk to him, and so frankly it might be better just to let him pull me out of the Time Nest and then I fly back in, instead of essentially having to leave and then go back in, you know? Like, me triggering it early might, you know, like, it seems like it takes more steps and might take more time than to just let it trigger naturally. Hard to say. One of those things that's kind of just difficult to judge.
Will you tell me or not?
So you can see me trying to connect with him, but he just kept guarding at the right times, and then Piccolo kept being a, you know, a not fun person. Certainly not a team player. But this fight should not have lasted as long as it did. It was just really unfortunate how I couldn't seem to hit Android 17. But surely these fights against Cell will go well. Okay, the first bit's done. So now we have to get him to basically dead. So I tried to do Meteor Crash, but then, you know, he gets blasted away at the last moment kind of thing. So there we go, he's dead. Phew. I believe, though, this is where we're pulled out so Fu can be like, hey, look at my Crystal Raid, you know, kind of thing. And we're like, yeah, great, I'm not interested, but thanks. One of the things you have to deal with. Like, at least now I know that we can trigger all of those cutscenes earlier than, you know, when they would naturally appear. But, you know, the question becomes, is it worth doing? You know? That's what it is. So there we go, we just fly back up into the Time Nest and continue the Cell Saga.
I give up. I can see how strong you are. I can't possibly win here. Huh? Now it's your turn, Gohan. Come on.
Looks like everyone's done fighting. Hang in there just a bit longer.
But yeah, so with this one, I beat him down as quickly as I could until Goku said, I give up. Because I think that that can skip some dialogue. I have not done enough testing to prove that or to see how much it is. But it just seems to me like there at the end, Supreme Kai of Time still had more to say. Right? But she just got abruptly cut off. So it seems that it's another case where if you get him down quickly enough, you might skip things. So I might test that later just to actually determine the truth of it. But I don't know at this point in time. Similarly, frankly, to this fight that's coming up now, where we have to fight 3 Cell Juniors. So I was like really wishing that there would, like, I wanted there to be a dialogue skip for this one, and there did not seem to be. But then I realized that there apparently is one. The issue is that I had usually been getting it, and I realized there was one because I didn't get it during one run. I think you have to kill just 2 Cell Juniors. I'm not sure, but there was one point where after Yamcha said, I owe you one, whoever you are, one of the Cell Juniors said boo, and then another said like blah, and then Gohan started this whole long thing about how like he knows he has the strength, but he doesn't know how to use it or whatever. It's this whole thing. But it added 25 more seconds to this fight. Like there was 25 seconds of that before Android 16 said like, I have a favor to ask of you, or whatever he says. So when I was saying that I wish there had been a dialogue skip for this fight, I meant to avoid all of this last bit with Android 16 and Hercule and Gohan. But apparently there's even more if you do it slowly enough. There's 25 seconds more. It's ridiculous. Because when I was first looking into fights that had dialogue skips, you know, when I discovered like the Nappa skip and the Turles skip near the beginning of the runs, I only had tested the runs that I knew were dependent upon dialogue. And I guess I just missed this one, you know? So yeah, because how I was doing that before was like, I mean, maybe I don't know if I didn't test it, because clearly it is dependent on dialogue. But how I was testing things was I would go in with, like, at the time, my level 90 character. And, you know, I would do one attempt where I beat everything as quickly as I could, and then one attempt where I just waited, basically. And then I would see the difference. But you'd think I would have known a difference about this one if that were the case. But yeah, so here, I started off with Super Ki Explosion. There have been times where Super Ki Explosion would kill all 3 Cell Juniors right away. And as soon as you kill all 3 of them here, you get to move on to the next phase. And so that's always the hope. But that didn't happen here, unfortunately. Didn't kill a single one. Weakened him, didn't kill anything. And then Cell, he bullied me for a good bit. Thankfully, at least at the very end, he left me alone. But he was still obnoxious.
This.
And now we're moving into... It has become my favorite part of this particular split. So in general, I don't love the parts where it's just, you know, let's throw a bunch of enemies, especially like copies of the same enemy, at the player and just let him deal with it. Like, I don't love the 2, you know, back-to-back Cell Jr. things. And I don't think it's, like, great game design necessarily to have this fight of 8 metal coolers, and then a fight of 10 metal coolers, and then a fight of 12 metal coolers. Like, come on, that just, I don't know. Maybe that's part of the show? Or the movie or something? And so it's replicating that, which, fair enough. You know, if it were, like, a game with the Matrix, like, I could definitely see parts where you're fighting, like, all of these different agents. But, in general, I'm not a fan. But I do like the second and third phases, like the 10 metal cooler and the 12 metal cooler fight more, because I've started to use Super Ki Explosion. And I really like that ultimate attack when you have a group of enemies. Before, I would rely much more on Giant Storm, but I actually don't think I ever used it once in this run, despite the fact that I purchased it and equipped it. Instead, you'll see that I'll use Super Key Explosion to try to get as many as I can. Like, I move a little bit closer to the group. You can see I killed 6. I killed 6 of them right away. And obviously, you know, a lot of that was lucky just with how they were clustered together and, like, none of them were guarding or anything like that. But you can see, you know, when it does work out, it can really work out for you. Whereas I think the most that I ever got with Giant Storm was 4. And 4 is great. But, you know, we're just comparing 4 and 6. This was obviously... 6 is more. This next bit is a little trickier because Super Key Explosion is centered around you as the caster, the user of the ultimate, right? And so you want to use it when in the presence of like a lot of metal coolers. But in this 12 metal cooler fight, you have Trunks with you, and so the attention is split between the two of you. Not like evenly, I don't think, but still, you know, fewer metal coolers are likely to be around you just because they also have Trunks to gather around. So if he's not super far out of the way, I might try to like be near him when I use my Super Key Explosion again. You can see I was trying to use it there, but then that metal cooler got me in an ultimate, which was unfortunate because it looked like that clustering would have been pretty powerful for the ultimate. But here we see at least 2, so we're going to try to get them, and we got our 3 that we needed. Using Super Key Explosion there is especially fun in New Game Plus runs because by that point you can use the Super Soul, I Hope You're Reborn as Someone Good This Time, which you get normally after you beat Kid Buu. Or you don't get it, but it's available in the shop. But what it does is when you deal the finishing blow to an enemy, your key is fully refilled just instantly. And so... you can kind of use Super Key Explosion endlessly. And it's just nice. It's nice. I mean, I think the reason during that you can't actually use it endlessly is just because, you know, metal coolers don't spawn in until other metal coolers have died. And so, like, there just aren't enemies fast enough for you to keep holding the button down and getting kills and, you know, repeatedly refilling your key, basically. There he goes. You know, with Purification, we were able to handle that more quickly than we otherwise would have.
How strong do you have to get before you...
So yeah, we marked it on the clear. And now we're heading into the Android 16 and Mira fight. Well, we would be, but Yamcha has his special class. And basically, whenever that first pops up in the run, you just have to drop whatever you're doing and go take it, because you can have runs where Yamcha has his class 4 times before the TP medal requirement. You can have runs where he never has a single class over the course of the entire run, even when you have to do, you know, like 10 extra missions to make up the TP medals. So when he appears, you just have to take it. And you hope that there's a turtle stone on the island, because otherwise you're probably only going to get 6 TP medals, and that can ruin a perfectly good run. And I went to the wrong place. You're supposed to go to the time nest. I just went to the station. But now that I've done the turtle stone hunt, and thankfully again the stone was on that resort district island, I now have all 15 TP medals, so once that split comes up, I'm good. So currently, with how I have my splits laid out, I have the TP medal split and the transformation split both just at the points in the story where they're required. Not necessarily like when I, when I get the 15 TP medals or when I get the transformation. With the transformation split, I really could move it earlier up because I could start doing that like consistently after the Frieza saga. But I have not done that yet. As for the TP medal split, though, because you rely on Yamcha to have a special class, and because, again, that can happen at any time or at no time, I don't think that you couldn't really move that. That one, I think, just needs to stay at its requirement in the story. Which is right after the Buu Saga split. It's always terrible when they're almost dead, and you're in the middle of your combo or whatever, and then they use their evasive, because that means that you have to reconnect or do something, just hit them a little bit more to finish them off, but it can be a lot harder than it sounds sometimes. You know, just due to being unlucky or whatever. It's really annoying when you're standing on the ground and they're flying just above it, because if you try to get a combo off, you don't aim up at them. Not really. You saw there, I was staying on the ground rather than moving up into the air to join them, so I was my attack was bringing me underneath him. One of the dumb things about the game.
You're not going to get your way today, Mira.
Trunks, what are you doing? But that can't be.
So he was really weak, and I didn't want to risk not being able to connect with him with another Y spin dash kind of thing. So I just used my Ki Blast where I kick at him, and it worked eventually. Now, even though it seems like this might be the time to end this split, especially considering we're actually going to be we're going to appear in the time nest again. Nope. We have to talk once more, start the next mission. We have to fight Android 16 in the deserty area. Then we have to fight Android 16 and Cell with the two of them on a team. Then we get to mark the split.
People of Canton City, have you been
Just
to
one
the
of those-
Coliseum yet?
One of those splits that I find kind of misleading. It's I feel like it should be done now. And many a times, when I was first starting to speedrun this game, where I would mark the split early. And then realize, oh, it's still going, right? Have to, remove that, or undo that split.
Powered up somehow.
You're in your perfect form?
Funny you should ask, really. You might be interested to know that I am Salt.
Yeah, so it sucks when your stamina's broken like that and you can't do anything. When I'm lying there or when I'm flying through the air, I'm mashing buttons trying to regain control, but not having stamina is punishing.
You went to the past. That's the only
So this fight definitely took longer than it had to.
know so much about it. Target Trunks. So it seemed that this stranger is my ally. You know, to be honest, I didn't think there were any more allies left alive. Oh, did you bring your little friend to the rock?
Cool, but now on the clear, we can mark our split. So at least we didn't lose too much time, especially if you consider that we have to take the Turtlestone hunt into account. That one, it can make reading these splits difficult because, again, it comes up at random times, and you just have to take, not quite a minute, but that's how I tend to think of it. You have to take, a minute out of your run to leave whatever you were doing, go do the Turtlestone hunt, and then return. But yeah, whenever you're you seem to lose a minute and you're not quite sure why, I always recommend waiting until the TP medal requirement has passed, and then you should have a clearer reading of it, because by that point, everything should even out as far as so in some runs, Yamcha has his special class right after the parallel quest. And sometimes it's right after the Buu saga, the last possible moment, and so. You never know. And sometimes he never shows up. If you want to see runs where Yamcha doesn't show up, or he does, but he doesn't really cooperate, go ahead and check the speedrun.com the Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 boards. And you can check the new game console runs where I played on the Switch. I believe the run that's up there currently is one where he didn't show up and I just had to do a bunch of extra missions to get the TP medals. I don't remember for sure. He might have shown up in the end, but I still had to do extra missions to trigger him. Either way. So this part, you just have to do 2 expert missions, and it's really, they're, just tutorials to show you, 2 different kinds of expert missions. Like there's the Great Ape expert mission, and then I think there's the supervillain expert mission. Maybe it's not a supervillain, but it's you and a bunch of other people fighting just some normal dude, but he's stronger than he normally is, And in this one, it shows you like when you get brainwashed, and so you're in this realm and you're fighting like a dark version of yourself. If you beat them, then you're free, and you got to come back into like, the world of the living kind of thing. You snap out of it, you regain control of yourself. So thumbs up, good work. And then this one is to show you like, oh no, they're being brainwashed. Hit them to snap them out of it, like while they're still in that purple aura. Sage of Keyblades and Lord Pixel pointed out to me that if you don't punch them out of it, you can just move on to the next part of this tutorial, where it's, oh no, they're brainwashed, now beat them up. So in general, when doing this part, you're hoping that you're not going to go up against a Majin, just because Majins are more defensive. And so, the more defensive they are, the longer it's going to take to kill them, is the basic idea. Frankly, fighting those guys can be really unpredictable. I've gotten beat up so many times, but here I'm charging a Ki Blast. As soon as I see the target appear on that gigantic Ki Blast, I just let go of B, and I throw it, and there you go. And yay, I like to rotate the camera and turn around. We have our group picture there. Look at this team. I think we were missing one person, but that's okay. I could be wrong anyway. But I think it's a total of 6. Like, including yourself. So we load back into the, not the time nest, but like the hub. And we are going to immediately fly up. Yeah, he's offering another class. And, okay, so here's the kind of sad thing. This would have been, I think, a better spot to have Yamcha appear than when I actually did his first class. Because we're already outside, so we don't have to, like, run to the time nest gate and then wait for that to load through. Instead, from there, we would just fly up to the Majin Rift and then teleport to the resort district. So, like, it would still take some time to fly up, but I think it would technically be faster than all the time nest stuff. But anyway, you only need to do the first Yamcha thing, so any other class after the first you can just ignore. But you fly back up, you enter the portal for the second expedition tutorial. So here, you see, he's just Turles, this normal dude, but he's stronger than normal. He sends you off into another dimension. This becomes like a little dark crystal thing. Yeah. And so first, what it's showing you here is like, okay, when this happens to me, how do I break out of the crystal? Well, I'm glad that you asked. When you're brought into this crystal, you're in this another dimension, and an enemy or multiple enemies appear. You just have to beat them. So with this one, just send a single consecutive energy blast, and then the portal will activate. Fly through that portal, and you're good. And now it's like, all right, now that you're back in the actual fight dimension, what do? Well, you need to bring your teammates back too. And they're still trapped in these dark crystals. So you can fly over to them, connect with X since you're flying, and then just start wailing with Y. If you don't connect with X first, I found, you just kind of stall a little bit. Like, you don't quite finish them in one smooth combo, so I think that's the best. But then it's just beat on him. So there you go, he's down. And then I like to go all the way down so you can see him splat in the background. And there on the clear, I marked the split for the expert missions. So now, before we can continue into the Time Nest with more story mode, we need to go talk to Supreme Kai of Time really quickly, just to tell her like, alright, cool, we did it. And now we're good to go back in and begin the Boo Saga. And typically in a run, if you have not yet had Yamcha's special class, like it's during this split that you are praying that he shows up. Because this split is your last chance.
Good job out there.
And I think with this split, you only get like... I think within this split, you only get one opportunity. And then as soon as you finish the split, you get one more opportunity. Before you need to actually talk to Elder Kai to show him that you have the 15 TP medals. Yeah.
You! What are you looking at, Kakarot? I'm the one trying to fight. The legendary super thing.
So this one, yeah, will beat Broly down to, I don't know, he has a good chunk of health remaining still, see. But then there's nothing else you can do, like you could fight Vegeta, I guess, but there's no reason to. Like you're just waiting.
You're right. Do it.
It's just a matter of dialogue, so yep. Cool stuff.
Even you are vulnerable when you're not being careful.
There's too much of that in this game. Too much of just waiting for dialogue.
After that, we'll have our fight. Assuming I'm still alive. This clumsy-looking idiot Majin Buu. I'm not trying to hell alone. You're coming with me.
That's your history. That's what's right.
What is this? He's not just strong. He's immortal. This is a joke. Damn it. You, whoever you are, you've allowed me to fight Kakarot without reservation. For that, I owe you my thanks. Go on! Now go! Get out of here as fast as
Also,
you can.
I believe I lied. I mentioned you get Broly down to that health and then you're waiting. No.
Fantastic. The real deal.
I mean, like for that part, but then there is more with that phase that you just watched while I was on my phone. Majin Buu, then you have to focus on him and get him down to. I don't know. There's a certain chunk, but he'll say like, "Time for you to go home. Bye bye." I'm pretty sure that's the line. And Vegeta's like, you know, he's immortal, so he's not, but Vegeta was very scared. At that point, you're waiting. So that was one of the points right there, you know, just loading back into the Time Nest, where Yamcha could potentially have a special class. So that's where within this split you're hoping that happens. Because I'm pretty sure from here you just go from fight to fight until the end of the split. Because you have Super Buu here, and then Super Buu in the desert, and then Super Buu and Broly, and then Janemba.
I thought it would
So it was nice that he started using an ultimate because we were able to break his stamina. And that usually means, you know, we can get a good number of combos off on him. And so there he was finished. The fear is always that you break their stamina and then your NPC allies just rush in and knock him away and waste all of the time that you could have used. It happens way more frequently than I would like. In general, your AI companions are a bane rather than a boon, you know? But there's nothing you can really do about it. So now let's finish off Broly once and for all. I think, though, after beating this Broly, that you really could just wait. It's hard to say because Super Buu is just already like really weak. But they seem to start talking really quickly and without like interruption about Vegeta being in hell and you have to go help and all that. But I'm not sure. So I guess if you're ever trying this run for yourself, you might as well fight Super Buu here with Gohan. But it's possible you don't actually have to. And so we can see with the splits right now we're at -224, and obviously we do still have to wait for these load screens, which on the PS4 take forever. You know, a little less forever when you're on like PS5 or PC. But you're hoping it'll go by relatively quickly. Because with the time ticking down, you know, we obviously want to save as much as we can. So we get him down to that point in the first phase, and then Vegeta joins us in the fight. We don't really want Vegeta to help us because he does dumb things like that, and I think he continues to do dumb things. Yeah, see, he did another dumb thing. Like, stop punching him away from me. I'm trying to fight. But we got him down, and we get a mark our split on the clear. So now we're at a comfortable -142. So yay.
How strong do you have to get before you...
And since we're at the TP medal split now, you can feel, you know, since we've already done the Turtle Stone hunt, you can feel pretty comfortable about where your time is. Like, it's not because the Turtle Stone hunt was misplaced that... Or I guess it was, rather, because the Turtle Stone hunt could be misplaced, you know, because it's random, that a certain split might look worse than another. But see, that, where Yamcha appeared, that was actually the last time that it could appear for the TP medal split if you didn't already have your 15 TP medals. And so that's the kind of thing that you would desperately be praying for if you reach that point in the run without Yamcha having offered his class, which again happens and it sucks when it does, but you just, it's what you got to deal with. So yeah, I just found it amusing kind of how many times he popped up during this run. So here I'm trying to connect with Kid Buu, like in part obviously just to do damage, but also to get enough ki. I need 3 full bars of ki so that I can transform into, you know, use the purification transformation, which is Kid Buu. I got confused as to which one was Kid Buu and which one wasn't, because I was expecting it to zoom in on me for the cutscene and it didn't. Like, I know I'm the pink one, but he was in the water. Forgive me. But I found that as purification form, it's just easier in this fight to connect with Kid Buu because he bounces around a lot, Vegeta kicks him around a lot. And so it's just Kid Buu fighting Kid Buu basically, and you just have to be the better version. But basically, we want to get Kid Buu down to about the K in his name in health, and then Hercule will start talking. And once Hercule starts talking, yeah, then it's just a matter of time.
People, hurry and help! Are you all going to refuse
once the talking is finished, we'll go to the cutscene where Goku is holding the Super Spirit Bomb. We can mash start, to skip the cutscene, and then mark the split on the clear. Does this fight really deserve its own split? I don't think so. I mean, because we don't go back to the Time Nest or anything. We go straight from this into the Bardock fight, then the Mira fight, then the Beerus fight, and then we're in the Time Nest. So I might consider consolidating the two splits at some point.
I'm supposed to be teaching you.
But, like, there's no harm in them being separate. Sometimes it just, even after all this time, it trips me up. That's all. So with these first two fights, we have Bardock and Mira. Between them, your health, your stamina, and your ki are persistent. And so, like, we started Blank Slate, obviously, with this fight, but when we go into the Mira fight, after we beat the Masked Saiyan, which is Bardock, surprise, we'll have, however much health, ki, stamina we had at the end of this fight. So if I can finish off without using ki, I typically will. But that actually became an issue here because I did that, I used Purification, I only have 1 bar of stamina. Oh, maybe it wasn't here actually, maybe it's a different run. Okay, the issue is, if you just transform right away, I think this was a run I did after that. There's a chance for him to break your stamina, and when your stamina is broken in the Purification form, like first, your stamina's broken and that always sucks, but also you're knocked back into your ordinary form.
Just sit back and watch.
And so you really want to be careful with Purification as far as when you trigger it. So yeah, I was thinking of a different run, but there was a time, I think he broke my stamina twice. Like Mira while I was transforming. It was really messy. And of course too, that means that he got a lot of good hits on me, and so I was rather weak. But thankfully, with this Beerus fight, like thankfully, not thankfully, kind of, it's a bit of both. Because Beerus can be difficult. Clean slate, so you have full health, full stamina. The biggest issue is just you don't have full ki. As nice as that would be, so you can immediately transform or whatnot. He also has a super skill that just, it's that beam, and if the beam hits you, it immediately breaks your stamina. And it can be so frustrating. But thankfully, he didn't do that, like, as I transformed there, at least. So we'll get to get some hits off on him. There are some enemies, or some times when I'm fighting certain enemies, where instead of trying to go for this Purification, quote-unquote, infinite combo, where, like, I blast them down, and then I connect with another Sonic Spin Dash and continue on. After I blast them down, I'll just use Pearl Flash. Because otherwise, like take Furry Mira, the very final fight. I don't trust him to cooperate and, like, stay in a combo for, like, more than one full combo, basically. I don't even expect him to stay for one full combo. When he does, it feels like a blessing. And so, like, every time I do get him in that full combo, I try to take advantage of it by, at the end, using Pearl Flash to get in as much damage as possible. But if you can, it's faster to just keep the combos going one after the other. Because using Pearl Flash, I don't know of a way to immediately, like, chain that back in, back into another combo. So, you'd have to basically reconnect and restart it, and that can be a pain sometimes. Like, it's kind of like, just an inertial thing. Once you have a combo going, it's generally easier to keep it going than it is to start fresh. And honestly, you can see the split still going. I forgot. I just forgot to mark the split for Bardock and Beerus. See, I made the split just there. So it was better than, minus 102, but that just means that we're going to end up saving more time in Golden Frieza, the Golden Frieza split. just because I was inconsistent with making my splits or marking them. So typically what I have been doing for this Golden Frieza part, the very first part is you have to kill 15 of Frieza's minions, and they can be difficult. And so a more consistent way to do it is to get the Super Soul that refills your ki whenever you get a kill, and then use Giant Storm to finish them off. I've been trying recently to not do that, just because that Super Soul would be the only reason that I would leave the Time Nest, go down to the shop, and have to go back into the Time Nest, you know? And that's just like a lot of time to take for that one thing. And he kept perfect guarding, so I just moved on to someone else. It's just a lot of time to take, and I know with Purification, I can finish them off in one combo. Like, if I connect with the Sonic Spin Dash, I just need to finish the combo off. If I don't connect with that, if I just start punching, then I need to do one full combo and then a Pearl Flash. So at least it seems I can be pretty consistent about how much damage I need to do in order to kill someone, and I can do it just in one combo. I don't need to connect a second time. And so I've been trying to do that and just be, you know, play it smarter than taking the time to leave the Time Nest, get that Super Soul, etc. I didn't realize it would last so long. His like super guard thing there, but that's okay. He died in the end. So yeah, we still have 5 more to go. It's one of my least favorite fights because why do I just have to kill 15 different people? At least the Metal Cooler one can be kind of fun. For this one, it's 15 people and like they have their own supers and they guard and dodge pretty well, and they can gang up on you. And it's just really punishing too, because if you die on this phase, you like restart the phase. You have to kill all 15 again. And then it loads you into a Frieza fight, which you'll see right here. And if you die against Frieza here, it also restarts you at the beginning of the minion fight. And so it's just a really punishing segment that casually I had a lot of trouble with. And it took a lot of time. Like I had to redo the fight like 3 or 4 times before I was able to beat it. And you can imagine how much time that takes when you're not the best and you're like you struggle just to kill the 15. This was another fight though against this Frieza where I tried transforming before and then he immediately broke my stamina and almost killed me with his like ensuing combo. And so I figured I'd just stay as normal female Majin just to eliminate that risk. Because most of this fight is just waiting for dialogue anyway. And honestly, I looked at my phone at this part, and I looked back up to see he was using his ultimate, and I was like, oh no. In case you're wondering why I was standing still, I'd gotten a message, and so I checked it.
This is all because of my training.
But now we get into the portion of the split where the split gets its name, the Golden Frieza split. Because look, he's golden now. So we'll get him down in this phase to a certain amount of health, and then the scene will transition. So here we go. And now there's Golden Frieza and Metal Cooler. And it's not the Metal Coolers like we fought back in the Cell Saga. This one is actually tough. He can actually hold his own. I don't know why the others are so weak in comparison, but I'll transform right away so I can just start connecting. I found Purification particularly useful in this fight because Frieza and Cooler tend to be like really dodgy individuals. Like they're good at dodging and stuff, or countering you. And Goku and Vegeta will both like actively knock them away from whatever combos you might start. And the nice thing about Purification is if you hit Y, like your heavy attack when you're at a distance, you'll do that spin dash attack, which just really, it launches you at the enemy, and it just seems a really good way to connect with them.
No chance of defeating me. There's nothing in the universe we can't handle.
So this is a strawberry sundae? It seems to be ice cream stuff as a base.
And this is a fruit. It reminds me of Planet Man with giant frog brains. So juicy and
It
delicious.
isn't over yet.
Hello? Can you hear me?
I'm just trying to finish him off with the key kicks because I was tired of it.
This is all
Now, I
because of
wish that I
training.
were, yeah, like, you know, -4 minutes. But unfortunately, now we have a lot of cutscenes to skip, a lot of loading screens to sit through, and then we get to basically redo that fight. It's this, you know, you're still on a team with Goku and Vegeta, and you're still against Golden Frieza and Metal Cooler. You're on the same map, it's just, I guess they're more powerful? I don't know, it seems like a bit of a waste of a fight. I'm like, why is this here? It's the same thing I just did, but you just have to do it again.
Yikes, that was close! It almost wiped out the entire planet! Thanks, you're the best!
You will not be getting another try at that.
Powered up! Go and help Goku and myself!
This power will make me real tight.
Yay, Frieza's dead. So now just Metal Cooler.
This time, I'll make sure you
Nothing special. Beat him as quickly as you can. Hope that Goku and Vegeta help you rather than hurt you.
Much stronger than
But as is the case with the NPC allies,
the hard time with this.
it's not likely to happen.
A fight is a fight, and this one isn't mine.
But at least we're good there, and we'll mark the split.
good, but not perfect.
So right now we're at a -215, and if you're doing some quick math in your head, you know that that means something happened where I lost some time along the way. Obviously, it was still enough to improve my personal best, but yeah, some of these other fights got a little more challenging. You know, just unlucky things happening, or me not playing as ideally as I should have. So I guess you'll see how that goes.
I'm about to start a special class.
Look at that, another special class.
If you want.
Man, Yamcha's so excited to be a teacher this run. And you know, we indulged him once. But I figured right there too, because the Whis fight can be challenging, and then of course, we don't have many other fights in this run after that. I'll finally use the points that I've been like gathering up, put him into like reach or get my super strike skill up to 100, and then I just dump the rest into stamina because I figured why not.
Also, my instructions. Don't hold back. Give them all you can. Understood? Oh dear. Then take it easy, all right? That won't do. Speed will simply not suffice. Look at that. An autograph.
Right on my head.
I figured that while I had him in a combo, I'd just kind of keep trying for it, and then I used transformation. Unfortunately, of course, as I was transforming, he did that, and that wasn't cool.
I'll drop pupils on your eyelids for you.
And so this is where it got a little scary, so, you know, I used one of my healing items just to make sure, because you never know when they're going to do another ultimate that you're just completely locked into and can't get out of. Like, the nice thing about Purification, the Majin Transformation, is that their stamina, like, it refills even when you're fighting, but you still need to have at least 2 in order to vanish when you're being attacked. And so I need to be at least a little bit wary of that, you know? Like, watch my stamina enough that I have at least at least 1 bar of ki so I can vanish behind him if he's just about to use his ultimate, so not yet doing damage to me. Like this, like that right there. And I was trying to like hit him with a charged heavy attack to, you know, break his stamina, but it didn't work. And I'm not sure why. So yeah, this fight got a little bit scary, and it did take longer than I would have liked it to, but at least we didn't die, and we get to mark our split.
This.
Yeah, so in the final fight of this split, we'll actually get to see the hero that I chose at the beginning of the run come into play. It's where you realize, like, oh no, Toa put a mind control mask on them, and now, you know, we have to fight them. He's like, there's only one way I know to break them out of this, you know, like, mind control, and is just beating them up. And so, yeah. And again, part of the reason that I decided to try a different hero was because in a previous run, I just got completely, I got killed by them, and it wasn't fun. And so I was hoping that part of that might have been because the Earthling was so well balanced, and so I wanted to pick a Saiyan so I could have a hero that wasn't balanced, you know? Like, sure, they might be more offensive, but hopefully that means that they're a little bit slower so I can catch them a little bit more easily in combos. And hopefully a little less defensive, so I can, you know, kill them more easily when I do get a combo going. I don't know if it was actually effective, but that was my thinking.
And that's one of Martin's isn't it? Quite. These two have quite a lot of energy. It would be very for their energy to help revive the demon.
Sometimes I'm not sure why my attacks don't connect. Like, it seems like they should, but instead I just go right through them.
Can't you imagine?
But oh well. We defeated Bardock and Mira, so now we get to move on to the Masked Hero fight. It's Masked Hero and Toa on a team, but you can ignore Toa. Beating her doesn't do anything aside from obviously just getting her out of the way. As soon as you beat the Masked Hero, the split ends. Well, not... The fight ends, and then you mark the split on clear, at least if you're me, but yeah.
What? It's you! You put my partner under your control! Toa?
So, I'm now afraid of this ultimate because it's the reason that I initially, like, you know, was dying. Because in the one where the hero killed me, he used like 3 ultimates, 2 of them basically back to back, and it owned me, you know? I really should not have targeted Toa though when I did, because now she will not leave me alone. So I'm trying really hard to fight the Saiyan, like the Masked Hero, but Toa is being just absolutely terrible.
Toa got her information on the time control. There's only one way I know to break Toa's mind control.
And of course, another ultimate.
I'll I'll teach you.
Just one more hit. Just kicking. Okay. So once again, you can see a lot of time was lost to that. Like, first we lost time on the Whis training split because I struggled against Whis. And then on the Bardock and Hero split, yeah, Toa was bullying me, and the Masked Hero just kept using ultimates and evasives and was just being a real pain. So we lost another good chunk of time. And so if those two fights had gone better, like obviously this would be a better run. I would have gotten a better time. So that means that a better time is certainly possible with this setup. You just have to, you know, continue to play as best you can, whatever that might look like, and hope that luck is on your side. There's definitely luck that goes into this run, you know? Like just hoping that people will cooperate and not just spam ultimates all the time. But sometimes they do. And some, okay, well, here's the thing. Sometimes ultimates are great, and you want them to use ultimates, because then you can break their stamina, and you can, like, do your infinite combo, you know, a few times without being interrupted. But in these later fights, some of these enemies have some ultimates that are just stupid and non-counterable. So, like, what the Masked Hero was using there, and what Mira uses in the final fight, he has two different ones where you can't touch him. And so, like, first you just have to wait for him to finish before you can actually keep fighting him. And so obviously that means that you're not doing damage during those times. But they're also, like, powerful. One of them really hurts you, and the other one, you know, can break your stamina, which can cause all sorts of issues too. But, like, her using her ultimate there, that's great for me, because that means that she's not going to be using her evasive or vanishing away, and I can just beat on her for a good bit. And so whenever this happens, I'm watching their stamina, trying to gauge, like, whether I can fit in another infinite combo, or whether I should use, like, Meteor Crash to try to get the most bang for my buck kind of thing. Because basically, once someone's stamina is broken and then they regain it, they almost immediately seem to use an evasive or vanish away. As though they were, like, mashing the button to do so, you know, like I would do. And so I try to time it where I just can fit the most damage in while they're unable to do anything about it. So now we're heading into this is the final split. It consists of 3 different fights, all of them against Mira. The first fight is mostly just dialogue. Toa just talks for bloody ever. We need to get Mira down to about his health, I believe, on the first bar. Like the lowest bar. And then you will be invincible, and he will be invincible once you get him down to a sliver, and you're just waiting for the dialogue at that point. Like, since you're both invincible, like, I don't mind the dialogue as much. I don't like it, obviously, just because it takes so much time. But, yeah. So once again, like, he used an ultimate there, which was great, because it's like, cool. Now I can just get into my own combo and, like, blast you away and then transform. And then I'm gonna do quick sleep, I believe. Yeah, just to heal up what health I lost. And so you see, he'll hit me, and my health will go from, like, silver, which means you haven't been touched, basically, to yellow. But my health isn't going down any further. Like, now we're both invincible, and that part's great. But she does talk forever, and it takes so much time in the run that I just wish it weren't the case. Like, when I'm approaching this fight, I give 2 minutes to the dialogue alone. I don't actually know how long it is, but that's how much I go in just expecting it to be when I'm trying to think of, like, okay, if I play optimally, what's the best time I could get, you know? And I have to assume at least 2 minutes is gonna pass that I can't do anything about.
It's too dangerous.
All 3 of these phases are connected. There is no, like, score between them. There are no checkpoints. So if you die at any phase, you're brought back to the beginning of the first phase. Even more than that, you're brought back to the cutscenes leading up to the first phase. It's really obnoxious. But then beyond that, your health key and stamina also carry over. And so part of the reason I just let him beat on me at this point is because, you know, I'm keeping my stamina at full, my key is at full, and I just healed up, so my health is at full. So I'm going into the second phase, you know, like as optimally as I can. So I don't believe I transform right away because I want to see if he'll use an ultimate right away. It's not like super likely to happen, but it can, and he did. And what that means is that I can break his stamina, immediately get some good combos off on him, because we just want to beat him in this phase as quickly as we can, and then we'll move on to phase 3, which is the final fight. So now we just want to do whatever we can to get him down that last little bit. If that second consecutive energy blast had hit, that would have done it, but he blasted us away. Thankfully, though, we didn't have to wait too much longer. Now that we're here, this is the final fight. I think he has 3, maybe 4 different ultimates that he can use. 2 of them I never want him to use because they're the 2 that I cannot break him out of. And so it's really dumb. But then there are 2, like this is one of them. Like, and then he used his second one, actually. You got to see them both, one after the other. And see, this one broke my stamina, so I can't fly, and I'm not transformed anymore. I'm trying to still do damage where I can. I should not have done that last one, because then I didn't have enough ki to transform again. It occurred to me, like, immediately after I used, you know, attacked. But I just transformed as soon as I was able again. So I get one off, and then I use Pearl Flash, because again, I don't trust that I'll be able to get another combo off right away. If I could, it would be better to just continue to use the combo, chaining into another combo, etc. But because I don't trust that I'll be able to, because of his own evasives and whatnot, I just try to fit in what damage I can when I get lucky is basically the idea. Didn't mean to do a charge attack, but that's fine. Let's see, he uses another. This is his, I think, 4th ultimate where I can't do anything to him while he's using it. So if that's not obnoxious, I don't know what is. Healing, just in case, that's our last healing item. Again, I didn't mean to use a charged one. We just want to keep connected. We want to keep fitting in as much damage as possible. And hope that he doesn't use any more of those stupid ultimates. So basically, we just need one more Pearl Flash. Okay, I was wrong. We need one more Pearl Flash and a little more damage. About to the parentheses. There we go. We mark our split. 159.14. So that fight can be challenging. He's very good at blocking and dodging and using evasives and vanishing. Just anything that he can do to stop your combo. And then, yeah, he has so many ultimates. Okay, he has 2 ultimates that are just stupid. They take a lot of time, and they are really painful for you. They really impede your own progress or bring you to death, which sucks, obviously. And, you know, you can have a fight where he doesn't use any ultimates. You can have a fight where he uses 8. It's just a matter of, like, luck, and you can try to keep him busy, but there's only so much that you can do. But anyway, we got the cutscene that means you did the final fight faster, as far as I'm aware, where all the people are gathered around you and they smile and nod kind of creepily. And you do Dragon Fist, and you have Toki Toki Zag. And he's dead. But yes, this marks the end of the run, so thank you guys for watching. If you yourself are interested in, you know, trying a run, or if you just want to see more, feel free to check the description of this video. I've linked the leaderboards for Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 on speedrun.com down there. So go ahead, check that out. You can check out the different categories like New Game Plus, or some of the miscellaneous ones. If you want any help in starting the run, feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to offer what I could. But with that, we'll call this here, so have a good one, everybody.